We're going to mandate masks. We're going to mandate social distancing.
5 years ago today, our valley and our world changed forever.
I couldn't breathe, had a high fever, just felt delusional.
The pandemic claimed lives and for a while destroyed Nevada's economy.
During that time, I did lose a lot of clients.
But we bounced back. Tonight, as we remember the hurt and fear this day brought 5 years ago, we also highlight how our Southern Nevada community came together and made it out as strong as ever.
And thank you for staying with us on Channel 13 for our special COVID 5 years later. I'm Trisha Keene.
And I'm Joe Mueller. Well, as news of the virus started spreading around the country, many wondered if and when the virus would reach us here in Nevada. But then one person who traveled out of state came back with the virus here in Las Vegas.
You know, I don't want to ever live that again.
What is it like for you knowing that you were patient zero here in Nevada?
I feel blessed, but I feel like it's not a good thing to be known as patient zero. Why? I woke up out of that coma was about faith. You know, I look at what happened to me as a miracle. It was a miracle that God just said, you are not going to go.
When you think about what the COVID-19 virus turned into, a pandemic and a shutdown, the city was a ghost town, it felt like. What goes through your mind?
Late April, my son drove me down the strip and everything was black. And I was like, wow, we'll never see this again.
Yeah.
You know, wow, I just thought about all the people that were laid off. A lot of people lost jobs. My ex-wife was actually sent home because they assumed that maybe she had been sick from COVID because of me. You know, I feel truly blessed because every day I wake up and I'm breathing and I'm still able to walk my dog that, you know, I've had for 4 years. That has really given me a lot of motivation to move forward.
He's so lucky.
Yeah, he was at the VA. Many might remember that. That was Ron Pimpkins there.
Yeah. Yep, over 12,000 didn't make it. Well, the pandemic affected all of our lives in different ways, and that includes small things like wearing masks or using hand sanitizers. Whole industries really changed.
Another thing that I noticed was the digital menus,
Right.
which was, to me, very annoying because you had to like download an app sometimes, or you had to use the phone, and my phone is like was like barely working at the time, and so like it's like, just give me a paper menu, you know?
That's right. And other locals we spoke with say that the pandemic brought them closer to their families, which is something that they're certainly thankful for.
So 5 years ago, the pandemic shut down our city in a way we never imagined. Fast forward to today, and COVID looks a lot different.
That's right. But for some, it never really went away. Our Abel Garcia is in studio with more on that. Abel.
Joe and Trisha, tonight I take a look back at COVID then and COVID now through the eyes of one local woman who tells me she still feels its impact every single day.
For Remy Turok, there's nothing quite like a good run. It's a passion she never expected, one she discovered after her life-changing battle with COVID-19.
What was COVID like when you got it back in September of 2020?
Yeah, so in September, I felt a little off. I remember being in bed, exhausted, no energy, couldn't breathe, had a high fever, just felt delusional.
How are those symptoms still impacting you today?
So I still have trouble with breathing. I have pain in my fingers. I have pain in my body.
5 years later, she still needs an inhaler to help her breathe, but she tells me she wasn't going to let it define her.
About a year after being sick with COVID, I got into running. I do so many 10K races, I do 5Ks, and running isn't the cure, but it's definitely helped get me to a place of where I need to be today.
Like Remy, many locals suffered from COVID-19 and the fear of not knowing what was next. While the pandemic is over, COVID-19 is still here, but it looks different.
What is COVID now?
So initially, COVID was very serious, very daunting. We lost a lot of patients, even young ones, that didn't have any comorbidities or severe illness to begin with. Now we're seeing COVID as a milder cold.
Internal medicine specialist Dr. Aishwarya Vyas-Lahar tells me for some, like Remy, the battle isn't over.
Long-term COVID or long haul or post-sequelae COVID is very, very serious. It can, over time, COVID can cause long-term damage to the organs, and it takes a multidisciplinary approach to treat it.
Despite the challenges, Remy says she pushes forward and hopes others take COVID's lasting effects seriously.
I'm lucky that I've at least gotten to a place where I can still work a full-time job, still be able to run and exercise, still be able to do errands, but I've also learned where to save my energy.
COVID then and COVID now. For many, the impact still lingers, but so does a resilience found in new hobbies.
Now running is one of my favorite things to do because I also find such peace and serenity running that I never found before.
Dr. Vias-Lahar tells me there's no one-size-fits-all treatment for long-term COVID, but specialized long-haul clinics are helping. And for high-risk patients, medications like Paxlovid can make a big difference. Make sure to talk to your doctor to find the right care for you. Reporting in studio, I'm Abel Garcia.
On March 16th, the first COVID-19 death was reported in Nevada. 5 years ago today, then Governor Sisolak ordered the closure of the Las Vegas Strip along with non-essential businesses.
That's right. It was an unprecedented and unheard of shutdown to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Then Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman became the critical voice of the governor's action, saying she felt we could save lives and save businesses while staying open. And I recently sat down with the former mayor whose stance made international headlines.
You and the governor had two different views of what should happen during the pandemic.
Well, he was the boss, and he made the decisions.
He did, but you were also very outspoken that you wanted to see Las Vegas
continue.
Right.
We'd never closed. The country had never closed anything.
Former Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman is never shy about speaking her mind. She was vocal during the COVID-19 pandemic, saying the city should stay open for business. And she says she had support.
You go for it, Mayor. You're the best. You love Las Vegas. Keep us open. And I would always respond deferentially to our governor. I said, it's not my call. But I was hopeful we could do something.
That stance from such a high-profile leader in a dazzling city caught the media's attention. You got criticized for being an advocate of staying open.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
He criticized me.
The former mayor telling me once the media frenzy started, she had a number of interviews lined up to explain her position, including this one with CNN's Anderson Cooper, which she was told was going to be only 3 to 5 minutes.
It went for 27 minutes, I think.
It was a long interview.
Because he was trying, he was trying to be sensationalistic. And beyond that, he hadn't done his homework.
The mayor says Anderson Cooper didn't research the city of Las Vegas.
He didn't know that the Strip was not in the purview and control of the mayor.
The interview seemed stressful for CNN's news anchor at times and got very contentious.
This isn't China. This is Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow. Okay, that's really ignorant.
Mayor Carolyn Goodman called for everything in Las Vegas to open up, even going as far as saying she wanted the city to be used as an experiment for social distancing procedures to see if they work.
How do you know until we have a control group? We offered to be a control group.
Goodman told Cooper she was a mayor trying to fight for everyone who is out of work in her city, but said it wasn't up to her to get resources like test kits, which could allow businesses to come back sooner.
No, it is not part of our job. That's part of our health department, part of our hospital jobs, our labs.
As for anchor Anderson Cooper, he reacted to his interview with Mayor Goodman the next day on CNN after doing some research, calling her a mere booster for the city.
But even that, to me, as an elected official, I would think that comes with a responsibility for the safety of people in the city. And concern about the health of the people in the city, not just the economic health, but it surprised me. It's not how I expected really the interview to go.
Clark County Commission Chairwoman Marilyn Kirkpatrick didn't agree with Mayor Goodman's comments.
To use it as a science experiment, I'm not willing to use the community that I love and grown up in to do that.
And Governor Sisolak believes staying open would have cost more than the over 12,000 Nevada lives that were lost to COVID.
I mean, what could have happened had we kept Las Vegas and the downtown? And so everybody knows, I wasn't shutting down the casinos against their will. I mean, it wasn't like I was forcing them to shut down and lose their business. They were coming to me saying, look, Governor, we got to do something. Maybe we should shut down. Maybe we should do something. They were totally supportive. They understood what we were facing.
But Goodman says she has no regrets, and with the right protocols in place, she still believes there was a safe way to keep Las Vegas open.
Have you looked back on that interview with Anderson Cooper anytime recently?
Never. I saw it once. And I mean, when he made the comment to Korea, the restaurants in Korea, I remember saying, what's that got to do with Las Vegas? But I just had written him off. I thought, you are so rude.
Did you say somewhere, I would like an apology from Anderson Cooper?
I have said it enough times. It was so rude.
I remember that.
So lack of class. All he wanted was his piece of flesh to sell his program. And to me, that's irresponsible journalism.
Well, the mayor says 5 years later, we are still seeing noticeable impacts from the shutdown, like students confined to online learning. By the way, our former mayor was going through cancer treatment at the time of that interview with Anderson Cooper, and she has beat cancer. So it was interesting to talk to her.
God,
all
I remember
these years
that.
later.
Everybody
was talking about that.
Oh yeah, it was all over.
Like she said, it was on the late night talk shows.
Twitter, X,
Everywhere.
whatever they call it back then. Yeah, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not since the Spanish flu in 1918 has a Nevada governor had to make life or death decisions that affected all of us here so directly.
That's right. And former Governor Steve Sisolak sat down with our senior political reporter, Steve Sebelius, to reflect on what happened and how he made those critical decisions in the early days of the pandemic.
Are they ready now in ways they weren't?
I think that's a great question. I think we're probably more ready, but we're not completely ready. I mean, there was no book written on how to deal with a pandemic. There was no information on how to deal with this. I mean, it was everybody was flying on the seat of their pants.
That lack of a playbook led to some unprecedented decisions. The closure of businesses, restaurants, schools, churches, and casinos for the first time since gambling was re-legalized in 1931. But those decisions were literally life or death, something Sisolak says he was reminded of every single day during the pandemic.
As I remember, I'd come in the morning and wearing my mask into my office, and the first thing I'd get from my staff is a daily report that showed how many people in Nevada died, how many people were on ventilators, what hospital occupancy was. Those are the kind of things we were working on a day-to-day basis.
Ultimately, more than 12,000 people died in Nevada as a result of COVID. Sisolak recalls struggling to get masks, protective equipment for healthcare workers, makeshift hospital rooms set up in parking garages, and people calling him with heartbreaking requests for help.
Get a phone call from a constituent that asked for a favor, and I said, sure, what would you like? He said, well, I'd like to be able to get in the hospital to see my parents or to see my spouse or whatnot. You couldn't get in. I mean, you had nurses were so incredible, and doctors. I mean, they were actually FaceTiming family members so that they'd have the opportunity to say goodbye to their loved ones because they were dying.
Sisolak got his fair share of criticism and even death threats during the pandemic from people out of work because of his closure order and struggling with an overwhelmed and understaffed unemployment department. But he tells me he was taken aback by criticism from another elected leader, Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman, who told CNN host Anderson Cooper that she wanted Las Vegas to reopen as a test group during the pandemic. What do you think of that criticism? What did you think at the time, and what do you think of it now?
I was shocked at the time. I couldn't believe it at the time because we were living in the real world. But there was no way I was going to gamble. Las Vegas is a gambling town, but I'm not gambling with the lives of the people of the state of Nevada or the city of Las Vegas. I'm just not going to do that.
Sisolak says the pandemic showed the best and worst of people, those who checked in on their neighbors and brought them food, contrasted with others who scammed state and federal relief programs. And he admits there were things he could have done better. But one criticism he rejects completely was that politics played any role in the pandemic.
For once, calculated in the decision-making process of political ramifications. I knew in the back of my mind this was going to be politically difficult, that there was going to be a huge fallout from that. But never once in making a decision, okay, we're going to mandate masks, we're going to mandate social distancing, we're going to mandate closing of schools. Never once did I say, okay, how many votes is that going to cost me? Not one time did I do that.
And it did cost the governor votes. Sisolak, who won the 2018 election by 4 percentage points, lost the 2022 contest to Republican Joe Lombardo by just 1.5 percentage points. Still, he says, he has no regrets.
Going back, I wouldn't change anything that I did. I wouldn't have been reelected to lose one more life. I just wouldn't do that. I mean, it's just, to that person whose life that was, I mean, they relied on me to do the best job we possibly could. I believe that we did that.
It's crazy to think 5 years ago still.
Yeah, and how many people just lost? Thinking 12,000 is a big number statewide, more than 12,000.
That's just Nevada.
Yeah.
Across the nation, it was a lot more than that.
It sure was.
All right, well, still ahead here tonight on Channel 13. Sports teams in our valley were forced to play in empty arenas and stadiums during the pandemic.
After the break tonight, VGK players remember what it was like to play in a silent fortress. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back. While health and safety were everybody's top priority, sports everywhere took a major hit during the pandemic, including right here in Las Vegas.
That's right. On March 11th, an NBA star player testing positive for the coronavirus forced the league to suspend the season. That move sent shockwaves across sports. Other leagues like the NHL following suit. The Vegas Golden Knights spent 5 months off the ice before picking up play in the bubble for the shortened NHL playoffs. 2020 was the year the Las Vegas Raiders kicked off their time in a new home. But after 3 years of construction, fans were not allowed in Allegiant Stadium for the team's inaugural season.
And then all I remember is kind of like waiting in limbo that night, went to sleep, woke up, and basically they said they were going to cancel today's game.
You didn't really know. We were doing workouts and they'd say, maybe in a couple of weeks, and then it would always get pushed back and back.
You see that stadium, you want to go in there and you want to just cut it loose with your new fan base, and it is disappointing.
And Nick Walters will have more on COVID's impact on Las Vegas sports tonight at 7:30. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, we know over 12,000 Nevadans died from COVID-19, a number that still haunts former Governor Steve Sisolak.
People like Maria Ubaso passed away from the virus. Her son, Isaias, is an artist, and every year he creates an ofrenda honoring his family members, including Maria.
How beautiful. In the deepest grief and the deepest pain, something beautiful has been created.
If you would like to see his new altar, it will be on display at Springs Preserve from November 17th through the 9th.
Wow, that's spectacular. Well, here's a look at tonight's ABC primetime lineup. It all starts at 8 with The Bachelor, at 10, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Then stay with us for Channel 13 News at 11.
All right, welcome back. A veteran photographer and Las Vegas local captured the essence of the pandemic in pictures right here in Southern Nevada.
Yeah, this is a pretty awesome book. Wally Hawkins created this book right here, My Home, Our Home, Your Playground, From Lockdown to New Normal. And this book captures our moment in time 5 years ago with every picture telling a story. When the pandemic hit, it was really a once-in-a-lifetime event that happened, and you wanted to capture that.
When you look back, you realize how big of a deal it was. But at the time, everybody was locked down, literally. And I couldn't do that 24/7. So I would head out every afternoon to go shoot something. I don't know what. I would just drive until I saw something that struck me. I go, God, I got to capture that. When I did go out, I was by myself and there was nobody else out there. So there was nobody in jeopardy of getting sick or anything. So when I would go to the Strip, for example, which was eerie, it was almost like a sci-fi movie. I'd go out and capture pictures, I'd come home, I'd edit, and I'd post them the next morning. I started to get a following from so many people because everybody was staying home and they were relying on me to post these pictures of what's really happening out there. I went to the Arts District, I went downtown, and then I went to the base of the mountains so that I could shoot panoramics of the Strip, because at that time, the interesting thing was they didn't turn the lights on the hotels at night, the exterior lights. They didn't turn them on.
And so that was something you don't see often.
The Welcome to Las Vegas sign with no people. I mean, have you ever seen that?
Never. In this book, which images really strike you, and what do you remember most about the time through the pictures?
Maybe the one that sticks out the most to me is the picture on Las Vegas Boulevard with the Paris and Bali Hotel with the palms leading into the shot. And I was looking down the Strip, no cars, no people. The only people on the Strip at that time were the police, hotel security, and me.
And it's been 5 years since the pandemic. And do you ever think we'll ever see anything like that again?
I don't think we will, and I hope we don't. You know what kind of sticks out to me is how resilient we are as humans. Well, I didn't set out to do a book. I just set out to go do pictures and get out of the house and post pictures for everybody that follows me on Facebook.
Wally says if you're interested in buying this book, you can reach out to him at his website, wallyhawkins.com, and it really is something to have. He signed this copy for me, so I'm going to keep it.
When you see some of those photos, your mind just goes to so many different like memories from the Strip and around the Strip.
It was eerie.
Yeah, especially all the lights being on in the hotel rooms.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, that's our news for now. Inside Edition is coming up next.
See you tonight here at 11.